Making the Harry Potter movies was a dream come true for many of the actors involved. As well as working with some of the most talented people in the film industry, they were part of one of the most beloved franchises in history. But making the Harry Potter movies wasn't always fun. Even with the financial backing of a huge production company, both the filmmakers and the actors had many obstacles to overcome. In fact, there were plenty of scenes that the actors hated filming. So with that in mind then, I'm Ellie with What Culture here with 10 scenes actors hated filming in Harry Potter. Number 10. Quidditch matches, Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint. Despite the rather bizarre rules, Quidditch is one of the most interesting parts of the wizarding world. But whilst this legendary magic sport is always a thrill to watch on screen, the actors didn't always enjoy the filming process. Sitting on a broomstick for hours on end was literally a pain in the backside. Daniel Radcliffe had to go through this irritating procedure in every single Harry Potter movie, and he was very relieved when he hung up his broomstick for the last time. Though Rupert Grint didn't start shooting flying scenes until the 6th movie, he hated the experience as well. In addition to a sore backside, he also got hit in the face with a quaffle during a training session. So if you thought playing Quidditch would be fun to film, I think again. Number 9. Cedrics Death, Robert Pattinson. Aside from the death of Harry's parents, the demise of Cedric Diggory is the first real tragedy in the series. After being transported by a portkey to the graveyard in Little Hangleton, the young Hufflepuff is promptly disposed of by Wormtail, Voldemort's fearful yet dedicated servant. On the surface, this would appear to be a simple scene to shoot, but it wasn't. In order to create a coiling effect when Cedric is hit by the killing curse, Robert Pattinson had some wire wrapped around his groin area, which led to a lot of pain whenever he was launched backwards. Robert had to endure this nasty stunt multiple times before the filmmakers were satisfied, and he was immensely grateful to be back on the ground again. Cedric's death may look like a simple scene, but it was a real pain to film. Number 8. Defense Lessons in the Room of Requirement, James and Oliver Phelps. The Order of the Phoenix is one of the weaker Harry Potter movies, but there are still plenty of highlights along the way. In response to Professor Umbridge's lackluster teaching methods, Harry and a group of other students practiced their own spells inside the mysterious Room of Requirement. The set design for the Room of Requirement was a nice surprise for Potter fans. Though different from the description in the book, the room had a great aesthetic. Unfortunately for the actors, filming these scenes was close to unbearable. In a recent podcast episode, James and Oliver Phelps spoke about the sweltering temperatures due to the numerous fireplaces around the edge of the room. And to make matters worse, the actors had to wear jumpers when they were filming these scenes. If the Harry Potter movies are ever remade in the future, the set designers should do the actors a favour and avoid using too many fireplaces. Number 7. Harry's detention with Professor Umbridge, Imelda Staunton. Harry's 5th year at Hogwarts doesn't get off to a good start. Most of the school dismiss his claims about Voldemort's return, believing him to be an attention-seeking liar. Professor Umbridge also mocks Harry's story, and after a short but explosive argument, she gives him detention. When Harry arrives for his detention, he is forced to write with his own blood while Umbridge continues to torment him. Despite being relatively short, this scene was an unpleasant experience for Imelda Staunton. When talking about her role in the film, she emphasised how horrible it was to torture Harry both verbally and physically. Even after they'd finished filming the scene, she felt guilty for several days. Though Imelda generally enjoyed the experience of playing such an infamous character, this scene was a little too much for her. Number 6. Feasts in the Great Hall, Warwick Davis. The Great Hall is the most iconic location in the wizarding world. Every Harry Potter fan remembers what it was like to see this extraordinary set for the first time. The 4 house tables, the floating candles, the enchanted ceiling, the glorious feast. It all looked fantastic on screen. However, the actors didn't enjoy filming these scenes for one specific reason: the rotting food. It was nice to begin with, they were even encouraged to eat a lot of it, but after a day or two, their plates of food started to rot. Indeed, Warwick Davis has spoken about the terrible odour coming from the Great Hall. Before arriving on set, he could smell the stench rising from the food that had been sitting around for days on end. From an outsider's perspective, filming in the Great Hall looks like a heavenly experience, but in reality, it was a grim environment to work in. Number 5. Harry slides down a roof during the first task, Daniel Radcliffe. The Goblet of Fire is full of challenges for our central hero. As well as witnessing the return of Lord Voldemort, Harry also has to compete in the Triwizard Tournament with Cedric Diggory, Fleur Delacour and Victor Krum. In the opening task of the tournament, Harry comes face to face with the Hungarian Horntail, a massive dragon with explosive firepower. After summoning his broomstick, Harry is then chased by the Horntail and ends up dangling from a Hogwarts roof. Of course, Daniel Radcliffe wasn't really on top of a castle, but he still had to fall from an almighty height during the filming of this scene. He said, "I was on a wire. I fell 40 feet, very fast. That was really terrifying, and I'm not afraid to admit that." So next time you watch this scene, just appreciate the fact that you're not looking at a stuntman. Daniel actually did it for real. Number 4. Hermione arrives at the Yule Ball, Emma Watson. Shortly after the first task, Harry and his friends are faced with yet another challenge, the Yule Ball. It's a big night for everyone, especially Hermione, who's managed to get a date with the famous Quidditch player Victor Krum. Hermione's big entrance is a great moment in her personal journey. For the first time, the glamorous side of her personality comes to the foreground as she descends the stairs and makes her way to the Great Hall. However, Emma Watson didn't enjoy filming this scene, not at all. Director Mike Newell, fully aware of the importance of the moment, bombarded the actress with instructions. Though Emma did her best to keep up, it was a while before the director was satisfied. And to make matters worse, Emma actually fell down the stairs at one point. You'd think walking down a set of stairs would be the easiest thing in the world, but Emma's experience was far from fun. Number 3. Aragog's Lair, Rupert Grint. There are so many great performances in Harry Potter that it's hard to imagine anyone else portraying certain characters. Alan Rickman, Gary Oldman, Maggie Smith and many others nailed their respective roles. Likewise, Rupert Grint was the perfect choice to play Ron Weasley. As well as pulling off the humorous scenes, Rupert was great at the dramatic ones too. And coincidentally enough, he also shared an unusual trait with the character he played: arachnophobia, the fear of spiders. This wasn't a problem for the majority of the series, but in the Chamber of Secrets, Harry and Ron come up against a horde of giant spiders. Whilst many of them were created using CGI, a massive animatronic model was used for Aragog, the biggest spider of the lot. Rupert therefore came face to face with his worst nightmare when he ventured into the Forbidden Forest and entered Aragog's lair. Number 2. Harry, Ron and Hermione jump off a dragon into a lake, Rupert Grint. At the start of the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the trio break into Gringotts, grab a Horcrux and escape on the back of a dragon. Before long, they're forced to abandon their ride and all three of them plunge into the depths of a lake. Shooting this scene once would have been bad enough, but the actors had to swim through the lake and onto the shoreline multiple times. Despite the fact that they were filming in a studio, the lake was unheated, and to make matters worse, the second part of the scene required them to take off their clothes, which made them even colder. Rupert Grint suffered the most out of the three. He was so cold at one point that he thought his heart had stopped beating. After hours of swimming through the water and stripping off their clothes, all three of them were grateful to get back into the warmth. Number 1. Ron and Hermione's first kiss, Emma Watson. Ron and Hermione's true feelings come to the fore during the closing stages of their final adventure. After destroying a Horcrux down in the Chamber of Secrets, they embrace each other and kiss for the first time. As you can imagine, this scene wasn't particularly easy for Emma Watson and Rupert Grint. Indeed, Emma said it felt like kissing her brother, as she had known her co-star since they were both children. She said, "It was the most horrible thing I've ever had to do. It just felt like incest. That's the only way I can describe it." Though he didn't hate it quite as much as Emma, Rupert didn't enjoy the experience either. He also said that it was weird kissing someone he'd known since childhood, emphasising how self-conscious he felt when they leaned towards each other. They had to endure just 4 takes of this awkward scene, but both of them were immensely relieved when it came to an end. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed any, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also, head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.